Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be including our biometric authentication into our app. Okay, so before we start, there was one change I want to make in our main.storyboard. So I have main.storyboard open. And if you go to our login page or the initial view controller, we created this as a image view. Now, what we want to do is we want, instead of having it as an image view, we want to have it as a button, so you can actually click on it. Right. So what we can do is we can simply delete it from here, and we can open object library. So Command Shift L and search for button, and then drag and drop a button right somewhere around here. You're gonna constrain it 8 points from both left and bottom, and for width and height we're gonna give it 50 50. So it's gonna be a square. So 50 is a little bit high, so let's give it 40. There we go, that looks good. Okay, now we can select that button and basically change its name to be a title to be like empty, and then select the image to show Touch ID. There we go. Okay, so if we launch our app right now, we should see this Touch ID button right there. There we go. All right, cool. So that looks good. So what we're going to do is we will go ahead and create a new class where we're going to implement our biometric authentication related functionalities. Right. So let's create a new class, and we're going to call this one biometric authentication. So biometric auth. And reason we are saying biometric auth, not Touch ID or Face ID, because Touch ID or Face ID, they are biometric identities, but they are only present one at a time. So for your iPhone XS or iPhone 10 and above, have Face ID as one of the biometric authentication feature, and anything up to from 5S to iPhone 8 plus, you have, or 8, basically you have your devices that support Touch ID. Okay, so for that reason, it's either or, but you can actually have both of them included inside this biometric auth. Okay, so we're gonna create, first of all, we're gonna import from a class called local authorization that handles the biometric authentication or local authentication, and our class is going to be again biometric auth. Okay, first we need a context for our local authorization, and that, or local authentication, and that context is LA context. So local authentication context. Now we're going to create a common string for our app or for our authentication, and we're going to call it login reason. Logging in with, and we can append, like, more text depending upon if user is logging in with Face ID or Touch ID. Now we're going to create an enum, and this enum is going to be defining what kind of authentication there is. You're going to have none, Touch ID, Face ID. Okay, next we're going to create a function called can evaluate policy, and this one returns the boolean. This just checks if there is a support for device owners authentication with biometric authorization. So we're going to simply say context, or we can return context dot can evaluate policy, and the policy is device owner authentication with biometric. Okay, and for error we're going to just apply nil. This is going to tell us if the device supports Touch ID or Face ID. Then we're going to create another function, biometric type, and this is going to return biometric type, and we're going to say context dot can evaluate policy one more time, and then okay, if it can, then let's say check type. So there are types. So we're gonna be converting from your LA biometric type into our own built-in type, which is biometric type. Okay, so we're gonna say case dot touch ID return dot touch ID, and we also want to append to login reason, so we can say login reason plus touch ID. So our full reason string is going to read as logging in with touch ID. Okay, I'm going to remove the default, and I'm going to say face ID okay. So that's going to be our biometric type. We can return face ID as well. There we go. Right, now we're going to build another function, and this one is going to be authenticate user with a completion block, which is going to be escaping, and it'll return a string okay. So first we're gonna say can evaluate policy. If it can't, we're gonna simply say completion and we're going to return. Okay. Next we're going to say context dot evaluate policy, and we want to evaluate with biometric. This is where we're going to provide our login reason, and this is going to show up inside the dialog box when user is asked about that this app is trying to utilize Touch ID or Face ID and stuff. The warning that shows up. So this is the message that's going to show up there. The logging in with Touch ID and the login reason, right? So that's why we need it. And then you have your completion. So if it's success or if it's an error. Okay. So if success, right, we're gonna simply say dispatch queue dot main dot async, and we're gonna say completion nil. Right. Else, if success is not true, then we got some kind of error. So we want to actually find out what that is. So we're gonna say let message is equal to of type string, and we're gonna say switch error, and the error types can be LA error dot authentication failed. Then our message is going to be identity not verified. So basically, if we could not authenticate, then we're gonna show this message that identity cannot be verified. In other case, it's gonna be if user cancels, then we're gonna show the message user cancelled, and then you have user fallback. So if user selected the fallback, then we're gonna say user to use passcode biometric not available. It's gonna be another one, so he's simply gonna say these are all optional, so we're gonna optional unwrap them, and we're simply gonna say Face ID or Touch ID is not enrolled on device, and biometric logged out is going to be logged out on device. Okay, then you're gonna say for default case, we simply gonna say message is equal to okay, and we're gonna send our completion handler with the message. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and build to make sure everything is building correctly. And this is the method that we're going to use to basically authenticate our users using Touch ID or Face ID. Okay, so I guess this is a good stopping point. In the next video, we're going to utilize this function to first show and hide that button that we have. We're also going to use this class to basically determine if we need to show Touch ID, because right now it's showing Touch ID, but it doesn't even make sense because this is XS Max, which supports Face ID. So it should show icon for Face ID. So that's what we need to actually fix, and we're going to do that. And also we can enable when user taps on it, we show the dialog box, and user can authenticate themselves using their Touch ID or Face ID registration. Okay, So this is it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.